You think it's that simple? Yeah, I do.
Greetings and salutations, guys. I'm here with my review of Marty Supreme, new movie from co-writer and director Josh Safdie, starring Timothée Chalamet in what is easily the greatest 1950s set movie about an aspiring ping pong player I've ever seen. But no, actually, it is a pretty great movie. Chalamet stars here as Marty Mauser. His name might not really be Marty Supreme, but he certainly has that in his mind and in his marketing. He's making ping pong balls that say Marty Supreme on them. He is a tabletop tennis player, but he believes that ping pong will be, to quote Lloyd Dobler in Say Anything, the sport of the future. He sees big things ahead and he thinks he will absolutely be the brightest shining star in ping pong, looking ahead from where he is in the early 50s to the future. But we meet him and he's just selling shoes. And he's dreaming big. He is getting into competitive ping pong. He is going to travel to do that, but he hasn't actually made it in the way that he keeps talking about. And the movie is about him trying to make that happen. But things get very interesting. Josh Safdie directing this, that we've had the Safdie brothers who made a lot of great movies together. Now they've split off and gone their own way. But you see what the Smashing Machine was from Benny Safdie, and that definitely has its own vibe, its own feel. Marty Supreme, on the other hand, feels much more classic Safdie Brothers, or at least it gets there. And that's something I really like about the movie is the escalation. Because it starts out and you've got this guy who's a wheeler and a dealer and has big ideas, and you certainly see not only is he scrappy, but he'll cross some lines to kind of get to where he thinks he needs to be. But he is also a guy who is incredibly talented, not just at ping pong, but at making things worse for himself. And in the style of a movie like Uncut Gems, you see him start to dig a deeper and deeper hole for himself. And every move he's making to try to escalate things for himself in the career only escalate things for how bad everything is getting around him and actual danger he is putting himself and his loved ones in. And it's very well done. It's very evocative, and it has that vibe that Safdie brothers are very good at, where there's a lot of dark comedy here. It has definitely got some good laughs in the movie, especially the bravado of Marty. And at the same time, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of legitimate danger growing around him of his own making because he just keeps putting himself in these situations that he shouldn't or that he manages to make worse by his own actions. Timothée Chalamet is excellent here. It's been interesting seeing him do the press tour for this movie where there's been some blowback about his own bravado, which seems to be him kind of channeling Marty in a big way. He's mentioned, I think, that it's on purpose, which you could kind of tell. Once you see the movie and then you see kind of some of the things he's saying on the press tour, you kind of see that he's doing this interweaving of it all. But whatever you think of that, that's pushing it to the side. This is an excellent performance. I mean, he's always great. And this is a real spotlight for him as this character because the thing about Marty is most of the time he can be a real scumbag. I mean, unlikable protagonists are always an interesting thing in films. But of course, you want to make them interesting characters. They can be unlikable as far as their actions and their morality. They just have to be engaging as a movie character. And I think that's what Chalamet is able to absolutely do with Marty. Because this guy is making terrible decisions. Some of the things he's doing are outright hurting people in his life who care deeply for him. There's a lot of reasons to not like him. At the same time, there's a lot of things about this movie and the way that Safdie directs it and the way that Chalamet performs it that completely hold you and make you want to see what's going to happen next, even as you're sort of cringing at what's going to happen next, because you kind of know it probably won't be a great decision from our title character. Safdie makes an interesting artistic choice here because this is a movie set in the early 50s and it looks and feels of the era it's set in. But the music, the song choices are all from the 1980s. Look, it's a lot of great songs, and I was certainly humming along to them. Takes a little bit to adjust to that. It's just something about deciding not even to just have modern music, but a very specific era, the 80s, set over this early 50s setting. It took a little adjustment for me, but I got into it. I do wonder if really young people will start to think that some of these songs came from 30 years before they actually came out. Hopefully not, but maybe there'll be a little confusion on that front. No, there was not. Everybody Wants to Rule the World was not being played in the 1950s. None of the characters are listening to these songs, by the way. They are just being played on the soundtrack. But yeah, I really came around to thinking this was a really fun element of the movie after being a little surprised by it at the front. You've got a really strong supporting cast here around Chalamet, a very eclectic cast. I mean, there are people like Penn Jillette and Sandra Bernhard that are in here. Fran Drescher plays Chalamet's mom in the film. But crucial to the story are a couple of characters that are in Marty's orbit as love interests to him. And that starts with Odessa Ezion, has Rachel, who is someone who's been having an affair with Marty on the side. She's a married woman having an affair with him, but they have this interesting backstory because they are childhood best friends. And in a way, you feel like she knows this guy really well, including the crappy side of him. And as the movie goes on, she has to show some interesting strength in certain moments, and she has to scramble in her own way. And I think Zion is very good at showing an inner strength mixed with maybe not making the best decisions, much in the way of Marty. Maybe there's a reason these two characters have been drawn together. And we see that as the movie progresses. And I really liked her in the film. But there's a real standout performance here by Gwyneth Paltrow. She plays Kay, who was a movie star in the 1930s, who is now married to a very rich, successful man who becomes important to Marty as potential for his career. But of course, Marty can't leave well enough alone and starts having an affair with Kay, even as he wants something from her husband. And I think Paltrow brings a lot of depth to this character and the fact that, she's seen a lot, she's lived a lot, and she kind of just sees Marty as this diversion. There's a huge imbalance in the relationship, but you can kind of feel like she's doing this on a lark, but also maybe just from sort of loneliness or maybe just feeling stifled a bit. And so she is risking a lot by being with him. The movie's not about her, but I think she really does have some moments where you really see a lot of what's sort of ticking for her and why she is making these decisions. I really liked Gwyneth Paltrow in this role. This was like very interesting role for her in her career at this point that I think she really does a lot with. Playing her husband is Kevin O'Leary, and I had no idea who this guy was. I don't watch Shark Tank. I was not aware that he had his own celebrity on a different level going into this movie. So I just thought, oh, I wonder who this actor is who got this real big role, important role in this movie. I guess he's some character actor who Safdie saw and thought, oh, I can, kind of elevate this guy because I thought he was really good. I have no idea what to make of him otherwise. I know people have some big feelings on him based on Shark Tank. I don't share those feelings because I don't have any feelings about him. I just saw him in this movie and thought he gives a very good performance. I know it turns out to have been a very left of field casting decision, but I think it pays off because I think, he completely sells the reality of this character, this very powerful man who can kind of make or break you and definitely relishes in that fact. Overall, this is a really strong movie. You've got this guy at the center of it that, again, there's so many reasons to not like him or to be outright disgusted, maybe sometimes, certainly angry at some of the decisions he makes. Are you rooting for him? I think a little bit you are, and that's kind of the messed up thing, but I think that's the great thing about movies is that you can still be invested in this guy and see him bob and weave and see can he somehow get through all this? The movie has a lot of outlandish, crazy things happen because again, he is escalating things. And there's a scene involving a collapsing bathtub that is just so wild as far as what's going on. And I think it's one of those scenes that were Safdie and his brother, the movies they made together, where they really excel as far as like taking these moments and just feeling like the world is collapsing in on itself. For this character, things are just getting so out of hand, and sometimes it really manifests itself in a physical way in front of them. Maybe a bathtub will just collapse through the floor sometimes and really show you where you're at in your life. Lots of scenes like that, scenes involving criminals that Marty is provoking in a way he absolutely should not. And yet, yeah, you're kind of hoping he can make his way through this, that somehow, even though it's not like a wow, what a great hero. Certainly, Marty Supreme or Marty Mauser is a anti-hero at the end of it all. But yeah, can he better himself? Can he at least get focus and see what's really important? Because things are happening around him with the people he loves that he needs to take more notice of and put more significance in. So there is that question lingering beneath the movie, and I think that it really earns sort of the tension around that and your investment in this story. Also, this is a guy who is just so full of himself. And again, that is part of the appeal of the character, is a guy who's this full of himself, this sort of, this guy who, yeah, he's a really good ping pong player, but he hasn't done anything else to earn the self-assurance he has, the cockiness he has. But it sure is a blast watching him act like he is the greatest person ever. And it's definitely an enjoyable movie in the midst of the uncomfortableness of some of the situations that are all still kind of exciting in how uncomfortable they are. So yeah, really dug Marty Supreme. Had a really good time with it. It is in limited release as I record this, but it's going wide on Christmas Day, I believe. So you'll be able to see it wherever you want. And then maybe ping pong will become a massive sensation. Look, people enjoy ping pong. I enjoy ping pong, but it doesn't become the huge, monumentally important sport that Marty hoped it would be, unfortunately. But he doesn't have a time machine yet. All right, guys, that's it for now. If you can like and subscribe, that would be excellent. I'll be back with more soon. Take care.